Oh, okay.
What do you?
I know that this is unfamiliar with. This is the new proposed budget, which we will discuss tonight.
How much is it? They're $15, they're damn right. 2 weeks. Yes, cheaper than you were upstairs.
Notice on the,
When the story came out, I had to flip on my life.
generator maintenance is on here. Think I've got time to go get a drink of water?
You're one of them. All right, let me call this meeting to order, if y'all would. If y'all would bow your head. Ben, how about leading the word?
Certainly, sir. Lord, we just come before you this day and we just thank you for all the blessings you see fit to give us. Whether we know it or not, everything that comes from you is good to us and good for us. Lord, be with the families right now who are hurting in this community and across the world. Give them your strong arm to lean on. Lord, protect those who protect us, our first responders, whatever they may be. Lead them, guide them, be with them. They have families. And send our farmers what they need to grow the crops that we need. And lastly, Lord, give this council tonight the wisdom they need to make the right decisions in your sight, so that this will be a community where you're really proud to dwell. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ben.
Yes, sir.
Let's stand and say the pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, item 3, discuss and vote to approve agenda.
If nobody has any objections to the agenda, move to approve the agenda.
Second,
Oh, got a motion by Councilman Brown, second by Councilman Ister, all in favor. So moved and approved, unanimously. Okay, item 4, discuss and a vote to approve minutes,
I got an issue.
okay?
Item 7, second and third line,
Hang on, I'm getting there.
okay?
Okay, go ahead.
Amend the ordinance to say 2 licenses shall be issued, but 1 may be issues within 1,000 feet of Interstate 75 and City Hall, and no 2 can be in the same location. We didn't exactly say exactly that. That's a little bit awkwardly worded.
Okay,
So, other than that, move to approve the minutes.
do you want to make an amendment to that, and if so, state how you would want it worded?
I just don't know how to word it.
I think what we was talking about, it had to be within 1,000 foot of City Hall itself.
Yeah, but that ain't what this says.
I understand that, and I think that's what the
Okay.
discussion was.
be a
So,
good way to word that, Dustin.
Pardon me?
You asking me?
Yeah.
Okay.
how would you word that?
Very careful.
Thank you, Mr. Officer. In other news, it's Thursday.
I would say that, the council voted to, adopt an amendment to the alcohol ordinance, the issuance of 2 licenses, within the city. 1 may be located within 1,000 feet of City Hall, or 2 may be located, within 1,000 feet of I-75, and it has to be a separate building or a separate location for each license. In other words, 2 licensees can't have the same location. And that's just me coming up with it off the top of my head, not putting it on a computer screen and editing it.
That's good enough for me. What he said.
I second that.
Okay, that's on tape, so we got a motion made by Councilman Brown, seconded by Councilman Ister, all in favor? Okay, unanimous? All right. So, let the record show, to our clerk that amendment's to be made on item 7. Okay. Item 5, discuss proposed 23-24 budget. We apologize, we've had kind of some chaos going on here, but, Councilman Coker brought it to my attention that, we could discuss it when we didn't have it tonight. And, our clerk is supposed to get that done today, had kind of some chaos too, and she apologized for that, but we managed to get it in your hands and y'all see it there. Has anybody looked through this?
Not the one you just handed me.
Not the one you just handed?
I looked through this one you handed me the other day at the house.
Okay. Would the council rather, which we're not gonna vote on this tonight,
No.
because it is to be approved at the next meeting. Do you want to take this home, go through it? Then would you rather have a workshop to where y'all can say if y'all would like to have anything changed, or would you rather just come out at the next meeting?
Do you think we need a workshop?
I don't
We don't,
necessarily.
then we'll talk about it tonight.
Yeah, you haven't read it yet.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, we can read it tonight. We either gonna have a workshop or we gonna do it tonight.
Then we have a workshop.
Let me look at the calendar here. There will be a workshop meeting, this will not be voted on, but a workshop meeting that will be scheduled for the 25th of May at 6 o'clock. That's 2 weeks from tonight. And, it will be to discuss the proposed 23-24 budget and see if it needs to be kind of tweaked or whatever.
That works for me.
Okay, that satisfactory to all the council?
Yep.
Okay,
Fine with me.
all right. So y'all carry this home with you. And that will be workshop,
Cost of living raise.
that is, what did I say, 26
25th.
It's 25th.
at 6 o'clock,
That's 2 weeks from tonight, so that'll work.
okay? All right, item 6, discuss and vote on COLA. This was requested to be put on the agenda by Councilman Brown.
Actually, it was me.
Oh,
Councilman Brown told me to put it on.
Yes, I did.
okay, excuse me then, you told me Councilman Brown said.
Well, he told me,
Put it on
he told me to
there.
have it put on there. but
I figured
already-
he wanted to bring it up.
No, I had discussed it with Councilman Brown. and he
Okay, I
said-
stand corrected.
He advised me to have Ashley put it on there for Beth.
Okay,
But y'all didn't vote on the budget tonight, but on my proposed budget, I had built in for a 3% cost of living raise. Every time you turn around, stuff just keeps going up. If you've been to Burger King,
Mm-hmm.
it's went up astronomically.
Go to Taco Loco and dip.
It's getting high. On my budget, on my labor, I figured in everything, and even at my base labor rate, is figured in at a 3% raise for everything. I'm asking for it to become effective, if y'all approve it, which, again, if y'all approve it, I'm asking for it July, because we work on the fiscal year instead of the calendar year. In the past, we've always done everything, we run our budget on the fiscal year, but we voted on it in the calendar year. And I did, so I'm just asking now to, let's go ahead and give a 3% raise, and it's not just for my people. It's not, I can't speak for other departments, whatever raise they want, but I'm just asking for my folks.
Did we just do a raise?
We done the actual,
Cost of living.
well, not a cost of living, we done the actual, where we done a pay scale, is what we done. Because we didn't have, we didn't, sir,
That ain't sufficient.
well, when that was done, it was done on the old, you know, and the inflation just keeps going up.
We're not getting paid.
Well, I know that, but,
We can't get paid.
well, I know, but I'm still asking, we haven't never done anything, it's gotta start somewhere at some time. And the point I guess I'm trying to make, yeah, we just done a pay scale this last year, we do this, and you can vote or whatever you wanna do, and say next year, we're not gonna even discuss it, and we can go every other year, every 2 years, it's just like the equipment replacement program for the motor vehicles. Just asking for this basic cost of living. So,
Well, according to your budget that you have now,
yes, sir.
the salaries is $336,800. And on your proposed, it's $217,000 more.
Yes, sir. Because we've added more people
How
during the
many
year.
more people want?
Now, we added more people throughout the year. We never did properly adjust the budget throughout the year. We've added several in the last year and a half.
We've had 10 for the last 6 or 8 months,
Yes, sir.
okay?
What would this number be without it? On the proposed budget?
Probably talking another 12,000, somewhere around
So this does or does not include
there.
it?
That includes it.
Okay.
That includes, when I come up with that, but that includes the holiday pay. Because we have to, now, if, you know, we can take the holiday pay off and all that, but then we won't have nobody working holidays. Because my guys won't get to take a holiday.
The 557,700 reflects 3% built into it.
Reflects the 3% overtime. It's gonna have a built-in about 6% overtime. I didn't figure overtime as high as I should have, but we'll work with that. And 6% overtime, it figures in the overtime for the court, it figures in the holiday pay, the Christmas bonuses, and everything that's been set forth in place. That's why this figured it's best to go ahead and do it in the past. That was figured at the 9 full-time employees we have. We don't have 10 full-time employees, we got 9.
Count
All right.
yourself.
Yep, counting myself, 9
All right, I'm
full-time.
saying that, off the top of your head,
Yes, sir.
do you have any idea what we spent on fuel in the last year?
I think off the top of my head right now, it's gonna be somewhere around 46,000, 47,000,
That's what we spent or what we're gonna spend?
what we spent so far.
Okay, well, you got fuel 44,250.
It goes up and down, it fluctuates.
All
This
right.
year it's fluctuated up, I can't control the cost of fuel.
No, I'm just saying that the
45,000.
price of fuel ain't gonna go down anytime soon.
No,
That's my point.
Councilman Harris understands that better than probably anybody here, the price of fuel.
All right.
Well, from your original budget last year,
Yes, sir.
not counting the amendments we've already made to the tune of $792,000. You started out at 660-something thousand. And now we're talking a budget of 960-something thousand, that's $300,000 over. But I just kinda can't do $300,000 for the police department in 1 year. I don't see that, chief, I just don't.
I don't know what to tell you, that's my budget, that's the only way I can operate this department.
Now, Mr. Mayor, let me throw something in here.
Go ahead.
Our proposed budget is predicated on, the anticipated revenue and anticipated expenditures. We cannot spend more than we take in, period. I mean, no longer will not, we're not the federal government. However, our revenue has improved over the years, and a byproduct of law enforcement is increased revenue. The catch there is, we have to pay for the enforcers. So It's not like we're spending money we don't have. It's just the opposite. Although we're spending more than we used to, it's a whole lot less than what we're going to be experiencing as revenue, I think.
Okay, how many people did you have last year when we did the budget for last year?
I think we had about six.
Six, how many we got now?
We got 9.
Change the same.
Another point in this,
That ain't
just,
$270,000.
But then you're not counting cars, equipment.
just to
I don't
clarify,
pay for cars.
9% of this budget is insurance.
Pardon me?
9% of the whole budget's insurance.
9%.
Look at it.
Yeah,
FICA Medicare, health insurance, unemployment insurance, general insurance, count it up.
Let's say it's 10%.
Yeah,
I still think $300,000 is too much over. That's $300,000. That ain't even the amount we got in the bank pocket right now. I just,
how much dope you take off the street last month, Bill?
you know, he could have took $10 million off the street. It ain't how much he takes off the street, it's how much we agree for the budget.
We're paying for law enforcement.
Exactly.
And-
I'm not disagreeing.
And that law enforcement is, I would respectfully submit, the most effective per dollar spent within 100 miles of here. Certainly within 50 miles of here. And if you don't believe that, you look at the budget in Doherty County and the Doherty Police Department and see what they have to live with. I understand that. And you notice you don't have a whole lot of crime in Sycamore.
We haven't had a whole lot of crime in
Despite,
Sycamore.
despite the fact other law enforcement agencies import transients and vagrants into the city limits.
My personal opinion, I know I get outvoted, but I know my personal opinion is $300,000 is way too much to be over. If you was over $100,000, I'm not going on that. But $300,000 over, I can't see that. It just don't add up. I mean, it's even $200,000 more. Right at $200,000 more than where we at right now. And he's already overshot the budget.
Question. Bill,
Yes, ma'am.
just comparing budget for 2022, 23 to the proposed.
Yes, ma'am.
We talked about fuel, and the budget here has stayed the same from what we proposed last year, when we had fewer people, fewer cars, for what it is this year. Is there, because my anticipation when I'm looking at this is that we're gonna be over budget next year for fuel, or for any of this. So I guess my question is I know this is not a final budget, and we haven't come up with the numbers, but would you say, in your opinion, that this is an accurate request, or?
The fuel could go, if it comes back down, we're going into an election year, so they're gonna try and lower the price of fuel, which means it can go down. It's the fuel, and I really hate to use this analogy, but it's like rolling the dice. And I look at Councilman Harris down there because he owns a trucking company and he works on trucks and works for record service. It's just like rolling the dice. I would like to see the fuel go up a little bit more, but at this
Well,
time.
because from where I sit, and I agree with you, I have different opinions with probably a lot of folks. But I would rather see a budget that is based off of real numbers that we won't anticipate going over versus looking good for the sake of having a budget that looks good.
And
That's a fair observation.
other than the fuel, my equipment budget, uniform line items, we reduced those because we have a couple of sets of body armor in excess. We've got a good crew in place. We're not having to buy armor. I had to go up on the equipment line item about $4,000 because we're changing the cameras. you've seen what the cameras do, and you can refer questions to the city attorney about the cameras. The cameras are gonna save us in lawsuits. So repair line items going down instead of going up because we're not buying, we're not running cars with 120,000 miles on it. Supplies have been drastically reduced because we don't spend near what we did on supplies. We buy a lot of our ammo and stuff like that out of the drug account, the drug seized funds. The labor was the biggest one, and I'll say this, every time we've added somebody, last year we added 2 shifts on, the 2 to 2, the 2 p.m. to 2 a.m., which were partial traffic patrol. They help out, they augment, they cover overtime. When we added those on, let me see, we had 7, we actually had 6, we added 2 more, then we added another one. And because then we brought our sergeant who was working a shift, we brought him to day shift who augments the day shift. In other words, we've got an officer, is all I can say, that's probably gonna be out for personal reasons for a couple of weeks. The sergeant will augment that. In other words, we won't have to call people into work overtime. The 2 to 2 cover the evening shift plus help out with that daily patrol activities and enforcement on traffic enforcement. So we added 3 more positions essentially in that.
Right. So, again, I would just rather us have a budget based off of a wish list and be over and then have to come down from there than us be in a position next year where we're constantly going and having to go back and say, can we approve and go over the current budget?
We agree 100% on that. One of the things that hit us this past year, which was not foreseeable, was our generator expense.
Right.
That half of it's already gone. And if you notice, the new proposed budget reflects actually less than half because the police generator is in place and paid for.
Right.
It's done.
Like,
I would suggest, since we're on the COLA, I don't think anybody here has a problem understanding we have suffered with inflation.
no,
Still do.
Those who haven't suffered are doing a whole lot better than I am. I noticed that if a police force does not keep up with the other surrounding agencies, we will lose officers to get better pay elsewhere, which is why the labor for the police department does include the 3% proposed. I could not put it in the other departments until this council approves a cost of living increase. I would suggest that, and I'm gonna make the motion in just a moment, that we increase the labor pay, the salary, by 3% cost of living. And if we pass that tonight, then at the workshop, we can adjust it, or we can hold off making an adjustment on the cost of living until next meeting. It is strictly up to the council.
$500,000 is for salary, is roughly $61,000 for each.
is that accurate?
Approximately, yeah.
Okay.
I haven't run it that way. I haven't
How
run
did you run it?
the totals. I didn't go into each.
I'm talking about if we got 9 people, and you got
I had not divided it out.
$550,000.
Hell, I was using the totals, not trying to get individuals.
Oh, I ain't talking about an individual, I'm saying individually, that's $61,000 a year. That's pretty doggone good money. Even with the price of living the way it is now.
You take the, now this is using Councilman Eister's, because I know where you're going on that, and so let me, if you bear
Go
with me.
ahead.
Using Councilman Eister's for me, what I done was we work a 36 and a 48-hour work week. So there's 26 weeks if they get 36 hours, there's 26 weeks they get 48. On the 48-hour work week, it's figured at 43 hours and 5 hours overtime. Public safety does not get paid overtime at 40 hours. where everybody like Sean's crew gets paid 40 hours. If they work 42 hours, they get 40 plus 2 overtime. Public safety has to work 43 hours. Public safety doesn't get any extra time if they work holiday or whatever. So what I done was I figured 43 and 5 hours overtime, 43 hours regular. I done that for 26 weeks. And I done the 36 hours for 26 weeks. And then it was, but the hourly rate was come up with the 3% pay raise at 0.125, which calculates for insurance and taxes that we have to pay, the city has to pay. That's why the money, you thinking it's 61,000, but that's figured in with taxes and stuff that's actually the city pays out of their check. If you get $1,000 a week, the city's gonna have to pay a certain amount of that on top of what the employee pays. And so those figures were figured into the budget, into the salaries. They were figured into the salaries along with the 3% raise. Then it was figured in there, the courtroom overtime. Then it was figured into I figured 6%. I really wanted to go with 10% overtime for storms and natural disaster. We could have a train derailment come and if a frog had wings, he wouldn't bump his tail when he hopped.
We can have money put back in the savings account. If anything happens, we can just pull that money out and use it for these.
I understand.
God.
So, but that's how the labor was figured. Now, to answer your question, the budget, when I figured it, other than the fuel, is the one that I'm nervous about. I am not gonna lie. That's just something that I'm kinda, and even Councilman Ister, he and I have discussed it. You know, I'd like to see it go up. If we didn't use it, we didn't use it. But everything else is easily obtainable and we will not go. I've already talked to my staff, my sergeant, my captain. They're aware of it. We're not buying anything if we don't need it, if we can buy it out of the drug account, if we can send them to class. We got classes coming up in July that I paid for out of the drug account that's not gonna cost the city. Does that answer your question?
No, it does.
I don't want to.
I don't have any issues giving a cost of living raise to anybody. As somebody who also gets paid by the hour, I would love a nice cost of living raise. But, if it's requested in the budget and it's already put here, is it something that we would need to vote on tonight? Because I just feel like this is something that if we put it in the budget and we approve the budget, then it'll be included in that.
Well, we're gonna have a workshop too.
Right. So.
We need to vote on.
The reason I asked to vote, or asked for the council, and I approach this way, is because in the past, we've always, I say we as a city, and the council has always voted on the cost of living.
Sure.
They, I think it's been a few years back that they put in place for Christmas, but then that was just, standing, but, and that was even figured in the budget. So in the past, I haven't figured in other things in the labor, and that's why I constantly, because of the additional employees, the additional vehicles, everything, we just,
And this is a 3% cost of living.
3%, that's all I'm asking for.
All right, we will be having this workshop 2 weeks from tonight. Each department will be discussing them and all. And in the meantime, if y'all have any questions for any department, get with that department head. Feel free to ask them questions, say what you wanna do. But, we'll go from there. All right? All right, let me move on to item 7. Discuss and vote on, I put, this is kind of misleading, item 7 is, but the thing about it is, I wanted to inform y'all that the contract that we have on CDBG of the trailer park out here, the completion date is May the 13th, which is this Saturday.
And it ain't complete.
Yeah.
If they get it
Now,
20%, they couldn't.
I've heard the grapevine Mayor, what I just said, through grapevine, that, they are filing extensions, but we've got some more issues here. Number one, I haven't even been notified, period, from the grant writer, the engineer, or the, people doing the work about any extensions of anything. We have thus found out, I've got a thing here from a pre-construction conference agenda. I'm holding in my hand right here. There's 3 people that's listed on this thing as the owner of the project. You were looking at one of them. Another one is sitting right over there. Red eye. The other one's sitting right out here in the blue shirt. According to protocol, these 3 individuals are supposed to be notified. I ain't got that book with me either. Are supposed to be having received within 15 days of when this meeting was held, of a bond from the construction company to cover any delays or anything else that goes on. None of us ever received notification of any bond at all. So number one, that's violation, in my opinion. It says that if this thing's not completed in the timely fashion that is in the contract, the company will be in violation and will be fined $500 a day for each day.
The company will be.
completed.
Dustin, what's your position on that?
Well, there's actually competing clauses in 2 different contracts. One says that the bond is to be forfeited as liquidated damages upon failure to complete the project within 180 days, and it's an extension. There's also another clause in another contract that I found, and this come to my attention today, so I've had limited time to read up, and there's a box in the back that's this big full of stuff. That it's after 180 days, every day after that it's not completed is a $500 penalty. The problem is that it says only extensions for time can only be made with written approval or request to the other party and to the engineer of the project. And talking to the mayor, talking to Sean, Ashley wasn't here today, but in that box, and again, I haven't gone through it, but just trying to go through it, I cannot find where there's been any request for an extension of time in writing. So Ashley was out part of the day today, and she's back next week. I think the mayor and I plan to sit down with her and go through this and see if we can find everything we need to put the council on notice that it's obviously they're not going to finish it by the time deadline. But how the council wants to proceed with it. If it wants to try to go after a bond, or if it wants to penalize them $500 a day.
How much is the bond?
Don't know, I haven't seen it, can't find it. Can't find any documentation.
I haven't seen it.
Well, didn't we discuss it a few months ago about waiting on the pump
Yeah,
or something?
that's what I was gonna ask.
And we was kind of giving them benefit of the doubt on that because
Yes, but
work.
here's my take on this. You are correct about what you're saying. But, correct me if I'm wrong, because you know. Did it not take what, a year and a half before a meeting was ever called by the engineers to try to let this out for bids. Am I correct?
I know it was
I
over a
can't
year.
say exactly a timeline, without going back and checking documented paperwork.
It was quite a while.
This project's been going for a while, I would say.
Now, this was pre-COVID, okay? Before COVID was ever thought about. But we sat around on our case to do nothing, and this is me saying this. Just like we are on the other project, the dredging, nobody's heard anything. I had them on meeting, they said, you've got to get your city attorney to call such place and give them this information. I got hold of the city attorney made that phone call. Got it cleared. All we've heard is silence this thing. Period. This drug around, it drug around, and it kept dragging around, and I could keep going, but I'm not going to. I'll stop right there. Then, all of a sudden, COVID hits at the start of this thing, and then all of a sudden, they can't get material. Whose fault's that?
Not ours.
Exactly. That's the point I'm making. It's not our fault, because we've had this thing, it should have long been happening.
Here's the problem. We have a serious rain event, and that pond overflows, that's still gonna be on us.
Exactly. Exactly. And all I've heard is silence on that one, and that's been dragging. Nothing's been done, no meeting, no bids let out, no nothing.
Are we at 3 whole years into this grant?
Yes.
Into the one down here.
Yeah,
Both
I'm-
of them.
Yeah,
Both of them are on the same
Right.
deal, right?
Right.
are there any other contractors who do this work? Or any other contractors can do this work? Because it
Yeah.
seems to me that whoever contracted to do this is in breach of contract. And blaming it on
We
COVID
don't
is,
have a contractor for that one out there. That's what I'm getting at.
We have nothing on the,
No contract. It hasn't been let out for bids. We hadn't had a pre-construction meeting. I mean, nothing.
Mr.
Period.
Carter and Sloop, the engineer.
You need another engineer.
I'll agree with that.
I mean,
So
they
we're-
ain't the only people in town.
On the point of contractors,
Yeah.
our contractors worked great when we had them out
Yeah.
there. Up until the point that they could not get a pump. If they don't have the material, they can't do the work.
Exactly. I thought
Okay.
So,
how long is that pump in order?
as far as the contractors themselves, I'm saying we didn't have an issue with
Okay.
them, or I did not have an issue with them doing the physical work out there. And while they was here, they was Johnny on the spot and doing a good job. And me and him talked, and, what you gonna do when you can't get a pump?
Yeah,
I mean, as far as the contractor work goes,
are we still waiting on a pump?
yes.
How long has that pump been ordered?
I'd have to get with them on the order date and tell you, I,
Rough number. 6 months,
at
12 months?
at least,
At least 6
at
months.
least 6 months or more.
My
I'm
point
still-
is, if the ball hadn't been dropped to start with,
Mhm.
which falls on to
Mhm.
the engineers, this project would have done been completed already.
I agree.
You need a motion to take action?
What I was asking, the reason I put this there is to give me and Dustin and
I
Ashley
know, so that.
authority to do what we gotta do on this project.
My sense of things is that we don't have to take a vote on that because you and Fred and Sean are the listed owners.
Yeah.
Now, you're, Counselor, Do you think we need to make a motion?
Yeah, but I would suggest you hold off on that until I can dig through that box, but any action taken by the council needs to be voted on.
At this-
In other words, just because they're listed as the owners, they're really the point of contact
Okay,
for written notice and things of that nature,
which we have not received.
which I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I can't seem to find it in that box of stuff. But any action to go after the bond or to seek a daily penalty would have to be voted on by the council.
Can we, Mr. Mayor, can we add this, to the workshop meeting?
The only trouble with doing that is we can't vote in a workshop. Now, we can change it to a call meeting. And that way, we can vote.
Let's have it both. We can do both at the same time. We can have a workshop, we can have a call meeting. Do the call meeting first to deal with this, and then have a workshop,
Or vice versa.
or vice versa. But that'll give, learned council time to go through all that documentation, and we'll have a better idea of our best course of action.
No problem with that one. You got that? Okay. All right. Item 8, department heads, anything, Sean?
I don't have everything.
Okay, Bill?
Need.
Okay. All right, then.
That's 2 months in a row.
Item 9, I have got something I need to bring forward on public input. I received a phone call this morning, and, as y'all know, the Miss Harold, here by Dollar General, is just moved. They got the house up for sale. The water's still on, which they wanted to leave on, while they, were trying to sell the house. But they don't wanna have to pay the garbage fee because they ain't gonna be using garbage whatsoever. And they asked me about waiving the fee. Now, I told them I did not have the authority to waive the fee, that would have to go to the council. And I would bring this up to the council tonight, but me and the city attorney got to talking earlier, and we looked at the utility sheet that signed out. It's not specific on there to where it even lists garbage. It says services you request. You got a box for, you got a box for sewage, and then it says other over here. Now, as long as Miss Carol's been there, I can almost guarantee it, she ain't even fill out one of them. Period. So, you know, the question for the council is, do y'all see a problem waiving the garbage fee on that individual?
I personally don't, because there's not gonna be any garbage being picked up if the trash can ain't taken out the curb. And second, whoever buys the house, they're gonna have to sign a new contract anyway.
Yeah, and we gonna redo that paper, because if y'all will look at it, y'all see right what I'm talking about. And, me and, the council was discussing it earlier, and I got to concur with him and agree with him on some things that he said.
At this juncture, I don't see a problem with it.
So I just wanted to be able to tell her something Monday when she calls, and I didn't want to, plus
You shouldn't
actually,
charge them for something. they're not
without I specifically told her to take that fee off of that, she wasn't gonna do it, and I understand that too.
I have no problem with that.
Same here.
Yeah, I'm not gonna put it into a vote because I haven't got it on the agenda, I just wanted y'all's input before I actually done something, that's all. That's legal, ain't it, council?
Yeah.
Under public input, I got something to say.
Uh-oh.
Go ahead.
I looked at this and everybody's got it under the agenda, the copy of this past month's budget. Amazing, wonderful news, something I've not seen before. Every department came in under budget. I've never seen it, all of them. I've seen 2 or 3 at a time maybe, but never all departments. From administration to court and everybody in between. Congratulations and
I
thanks.
wouldn't call out that department either. I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't do
You
that.
may have just jinxed it.
I have a question on the public input.
Uh-oh.
What does the noise ordinance say for the city? As far as like,
It doesn't have a decibel or anything, it's just a nuisance ordinance, and it can be considered
is there a time stamp on it?
generally around 9 to 10 p.m.
Okay.
That's when it starts.
I've had a couple of neighbors complain, in regards to,
A lot of parties you throw?
yes,
Oh.
exactly. The amount of loud music that is being played, from vehicles, golf carts, what have you, that are driving up and down the streets near the neighborhood. Some folks that decide that they want to, entertain the entire city block with music in the evenings. And I just didn't know what I could tell them as far as like, if the noise ordinance nuisance doesn't start until 9, then there's no recourse for loud music at 3 o'clock in the afternoon?
There is to a certain degree. That being said, you want an official answer,
I do.
stand by. I want tickets issued on any loud music, from cars, golf carts, or anything, especially after hours, especially at dark. I want my officers to start issuing tickets, no questions asked, I'll deal with it later.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, sir.
Can you add that they do not use the uniform traffic citation to cite that?
Yes,
Otherwise, I'll have to dismiss it.
Yes, sir. We've got that. So, and I'm making it to where the captain's gonna put it out there now, and then from the sergeant down, we'll enforce it, and we'll make sure the state.
Question, when somebody fights this in court, and somebody's gonna fight it in court, what's the standard?
What's the standard?
What's the,
Excessive.
what constitutes loud music versus excessively loud music?
If it can be heard 100 feet away, plainly,
The guy that sits at the bench right here and makes a decision based on the facts and circumstances that are peculiar to that set of events.
Bill, I can hear you 100 yards away.
Yeah,
You
right.
know, you take it every time you open your mouth?
well, you probably could have.
But the question is that a nuisance?
It might be.
Ask me again, Counselor.
Is his oratory a nuisance?
It might be a pleasure for people.
Yeah, it might not.
Oh, but yeah, that's so to answer your question, you let them know, we'll step up the enforcement on it, we'll make sure the citations are issued. That's been a pet peeve of mine. Listen, I've wrote citizens that have lived here 30 years, 40 years, I've wrote citations for excessive music.
Other-
Well,
I try and give them a verbal warning at first, and then it doesn't succeed, then I go to explanation.
Well, and I know, just from where I stand, I don't think anybody ever wants to get into a war with their neighbors over
No.
loud music or, which, because there's always somebody's yakking dog, there's always that sort of constant sort of thing going on, but, it happens consecutive days after days after days of,
Well, if I may, we average 40 trains down that track every single 24-hour period. And some of them simply do not take any heed whatsoever of the specific horn code they're supposed to use.
absolutely.
Some of them get on that horn at Inahaw Road, and they stay on it all the way past Ashburn.
Don't we all know?
As a matter of fact, we dug into that in the past. The standard railway requirement, this is for CSX, Norfolk and Southern, whichever. Approaching the crossing, there's 2 long blasts.
Yep.
1 short, 1 long. The long blasts are not to last longer than 20 seconds apiece.
And you know as well as I do, sometimes they'll get on that horn and they'll run it all the way through town.
Sometimes they get off of it just briefly.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they probably technically are legal, but we cannot very well put it past a noise ordinance and tell them to shut up, because then we are responsible, we as a city are responsible for any injuries, damage.
Well, I frankly, I would not mind at all to see Scott Bauer try to stop the train with a police car.
To answer your question, 4614, and it's unlawful for any person operating or occupying a motor vehicle on a street or highway to operate or amplify the sound produced by a radio, tape player, or other mechanical sound-making device or instrument from within a motor vehicle so that that sound is plainly audible at a distance of 100 feet or more.
Well, God.
And that's true. So, you know, and he just read it, and so we're fixing to step it up. And I noticed there's been golf carts. It's early on in the summer, it's starting to get warm. You're gonna have those, the side-by-sides that are legal on the road, not the four-wheelers as well, but side-by-sides golf carts. They like to play the music, and, you know, I tell them all the time, you don't wanna hear my music, so I don't wanna hear yours. Hear your ticket.
All right,
That's
let's move
it.
forward here. Item 10, pay bills.
Move to pay bills.
Second,
Got a motion by Councilman Brown, Councilman Yon, all in favor?
Move to go home.
All right.
Second,
By Councilman Ister, all in favor?
because we agreed to
Oh,
that.
y'all don't